Hi, Tom Trento here with our fourth edition of our special series on the war in Israel, Operation Protective Edge, an inside look, destroy Hamas. Right now, folks, Israel has launched a ground offensive. Hamas is firing rockets all over the place. The world is erupting in controversy. Who could have predicted something like this a year ago? How about a 91-year-old guy from South Florida? Take a look at this amazing interview we did with Mr. Bill Langfan 1 year ago as we sat down with him to discuss his exploits as a member of the United States Army liberating Buchenwald. Yes, Bill was involved in that, but the rest of his life he spent as a Zionist supporter of the State of Israel, speaking and communicating. We sat down with him and asked him pertinent questions that are relevant to what's going on in Israel today about Iran, about the Hamas, about the 67 borders that President Obama was forcing then on Israel, about this two-state solution. Listen to Mr. Bill Langfan predict what's taking place in Israel today. 1 year ago, we shot this. Take a look. Hi, I'm Tom Trento, and you are about to meet an amazing individual who's a Jewish-American patriot. William Bill Langfan, 91 years old, was a very astute teenager in 1938 in America when he knew that Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain's trip to Munich, Germany to meet Adolf Hitler, to appease Adolf Hitler, was a mistake of historic proportions. Well, Bill Langfan today, through his life experiences, believes that President Obama's trip to Israel in March 2013 may also be a meeting of tragic proportions. Hi, Bill. How you doing?
Fine and dandy, thank you.
What are your primary concerns about President Obama's trip in March 2013?
That Israel should return to 1967 borders is a fatal approach to the Middle East problems.
We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps.
All right, well, what do you think the worst case consequences could be of the Obama policy implemented in Israel?
All that we have to do is take Gaza and multiply it by many-fold, and we can readily envision what will happen. For example, they can start shooting missiles from right next to Israel proper. Their airport would be vulnerable 24 hours a day. The airports for their planes would become unusable with streams of missiles falling there. How are planes going to take off? How are pilots going to get to the planes? This is what troubles me, and the idea of going back to 67 when the Palestinians expressed themselves in their charter 3 years before Israel had the West Bank. They specifically stated unequivocally in their 29-clause charter that the establishment of Israel is illegal and void, and that they were going to engage in armed resistance until Israel was destroyed.
Do you really remember 1938 and the meeting in Munich?
Absolutely. I remember very vividly, and I do wish that I could remember today things that happened yesterday the way I remember things of long ago. I was arguing very vociferously that Hitler has violated Versailles. He has violated almost any human thinking pertaining to Jews. How could anybody reasonably expect a man of this type to adhere to any type of agreement?
Bill, how'd you go from a teenager arguing against Hitler to finding yourself in the United States Army as one of the liberators at Buchenwald Nazi death camp? How did that happen?
I was at university, and on December 7th, 1941, everything changed very, very dramatically. I went through basic training, and the next thing you know, I was in Liverpool. And we stayed there for a while, and all of a sudden, buzz bombs started coming over, and we were in the anti-aircraft part of the Army, and we were shooting against buzz bombs. And it was quite an experience. Then we were on our way to Normandy, and we landed in around Saint-Lô, which was the Omaha beachhead, and we still had not broken out of the hedgerows. And a few days after we landed at Normandy, we broke out of the hedgerows and started moving through France very, very quickly. We were with Patton's army. And before we know it, we were in Belgium. And we were at the middle of the Battle of the Bulge at Bastogne. And then we started going east through Germany. And all of a sudden, one day, we wound up at Buchenwald. And it was something that was beyond my imagination, what they told me.
It appeared that most of the men and boys had died of starvation. They had not been executed. But the manner of death seemed unimportant. Murder had been done at Buchenwald. God alone knows how many men and boys have died there during the last 12 years. As I left that camp, a Frenchman who used to work for Hamas in Paris came up to me and said, "You will write something about this, perhaps." And he added, "To write about this, you must have been here at least 2 years. And after that, you don't want to write anymore."
So you have been in Buchenwald, in a Nazi death camp, and you've seen that horror up close, that evil. What is your comparison between Munich in 1938 the appeasement that started this war, and a possible Munich situation in 2013 when President Obama goes to Israel to pressure Israel to give up land for peace?
I see a similarity, and I feel a similarity, in that a major power, the United States, and the European EU, are pushing Israel into doing something which is very similar to what happened when the Sudetenland was given to Hitler. In this situation, major power, US, and the EU are trying to do exactly the same thing, and experience with the Palestinians indicates that they will do the same thing that Hitler did. As soon as they gobble up the land which are given to them peacefully, and they consolidate their position, they're going to start shooting missiles, just as they have shown that they are capable of doing and willing to do in their shooting of thousands of missiles from Gaza. After Gaza, how can anybody in a reasonable way arrive at a conclusion that they are going to just become peaceful?
Bill, what are the main reasons why you don't view the Arabs, the Palestinians, Fatah, PLO, Hamas as seriously interested in the peace process?
Their English and their Arabic do not coincide. If you hear the leaders talking in English, they sound like they're the greatest guys in the world. But if you hear the same thinking in Arabic, you really realize that they're not thinking of peace. They're thinking as they have thought from day one, to destroy Israel. Their TV programs, they continuously are talking about jihad, martyrdom, suicide bombing. They eulogize these terrorists instead of criticizing terrorists. When Dr. Goldstein went berserk in a mosque and killed many Muslims, Israelis and Jews throughout the world were in sorrow. When terrorists have committed mayhem, they are praised. They have streets named after them. They have squares named after them.
Bill, you've been through a lot in your life. What is your warning to America, to Israel, to the West?
My warning is that I don't want history to repeat itself. I could not believe that there were death camps specifically created to kill Jews and others. But I saw it with my own eyes, and I had to believe it. The facts were there. The evidence was clear. We are trying to do the same thing right now by trying to force Israel to return to what have turned out to be indefensible 1967 borders with an entity that has stated unequivocally that they want to destroy Israel, and which on a daily basis on their TV programs eulogize terrorists and do this on a daily basis. They're telling us that it's great to murder and to commit mayhem right now. Why don't we believe it?